rational theorem to solve polynomials which you cannot be able to factor when it's just given to you, or higher degree polynomials. The rational theorem, what does it do? The rational zero theorem, it gives us a list of all rational zeros of a polynomial function. So it gives all possible rational roots of a polynomial function. But remember, it says possible, all possible, but not every number in the list will be a zero of the function. But every rational function will appear somewhere in the list. Every rational zero will appear somewhere in the list. Okay, so what does it say? You're given f of x, and it has the integer coefficients. And what I want you to pay attention to here is the leading coefficient and the constant term. So p is the factor of the constant term. So the p, which is on top, is the factor of the constant term. So I want you to know the value of p right there. And the leading coefficient is q. And a way you can be able to remember this, for remembering how to find a list of all possible zeros, remember that the silly snake puts its tail over its head. So in other words, what we are saying, if I have 2x squared plus 4x plus 3, to write p over q, in finding the roots or the possible roots, I'm going to take the tail over the head. Then I find all the roots, all the possible roots. So here we are given this equation. You can see if you try to factor, you cannot be able to factor. So there is no other way. So you have to use the rational zero theorem or the rational root theorem. So the first thing is write all the possible zeros. So remember, this is p, this is q, which is 1. So I have p over q, which I'm going to get by getting the factors. So factors of 10, which is p, over factors of 1. And that's going to be, remember the factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. But I also want you to remember that they could be something we always never think about. They could always be positive or negative. So positive or negative. Positive or negative. So they could be all, they could be any of these. So these are the possible factors. So these are the possible factors. All possible factors. But doesn't mean that all of them are zeros of this polynomial. So we have to test one of them. When we test one of them and it's a factor, then we can be able to break down the equation. So let's do that. So I'm going to pick from the list, and I'm going to pick 1. So I'm going to use 1, and then I'm going to write my coefficient 1, 2, negative 13, and 10. Remember, if I get 0, then I'm lucky. Remember, why did I pick 1? I just guessed 1. I can pick 5, any of them. You can pick 1 and see which one will give you 0. So here 1, I get 1. So I have 1. So this is 3. That's 3. So that's 10, negative 10. And then I get negative 10. So I get 0. Okay, so that means now, so it's a factor. So here I can say yes. And all I need to do now is to break the equation. So what do I have now? So I have x squared minus 3x. So x squared minus 3x minus 10 is equals to 0. See, this one can be broken down because this is going to be x minus 5, And what numbers I can multiply to get 10? So an x plus 2 is equals to 0. And now, what are my solutions? So my solutions are x is equals to 5 and negative 2. And also, don't forget the one that we tried out. So we have those two. So the answers become, can I the answers over here? So we have one, the one we tried, and it worked. And 5 and negative 2. So those are the zeros. Okay, let's do another example. Okay, so here, solve using the rational theorem. And this looks like just the one we did. So here we do another example. We're going to do the same thing we did with the previous. So here I have P over Q. So that's going to be factors of 4 and 3. And what are those factors? So they are going to be plus or minus 1. Writing out the factors of 4, plus or minus 2, and plus or minus 4. And these are going to be divided by plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3. So when we divide those numbers, so we divide each of the top one by the bottom. So I divide 1 by 1, so I get plus or minus 1, and I'm also going to get plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4. I'm also going to get plus or minus 1/3, plus or minus 2/3, and finally plus or minus 4/3. So all those are the possible zeros. Not all of them are roots of this equation, but I just need to try one out and see which one works. So let me try -1. I just picked one. So let's write the coefficients. 3, -5, -4, 4. So that's 3. So -3, so -8. So that is 8. So I get 4, -4, 0. So that one works. So because I have a remainder of 0, so I know it's a factor. So I just need to break the equation now. So this one is going to be 3x squared minus 8x plus 4 is equals to 0. Then when I factor this out, I'm going to get 3x. You can factor using box method or by breaking the middle term or splitting the middle term. Get 3x minus 2, x minus 2 is equals to 0, which means x is equals to 2/3 and 2. And now, what are the solutions? The solutions are going to be, the roots are going to be 2/3, 2, and which one did we try? -1. Okay, so those are the answers. And maybe you're wondering how comes from all those roots you just pick one and it works. I've already worked it out, so I know which one works. And I just want to get it done quickly. But for you, you just have to try out and see which one works. Another way is to graph it and then see which one of these is a 0, and then use the one you have found to break down the equation and solve it.